people, una good evening. I greet every one of una from anywhere una for the watch me. The matter where they grant now not be small matter. Former Deputy President of Senate to Nigeria, Ekweremadu, today Central Criminal Court for London don convict Ekweremadu, his wife and his daughter for the matter when it happened last year when they take carry one boy from Nigeria come UK come remove his kidney before. This one let us know say country when law for the work nobody is above the law. Not be Nigeria where be say they go they think say because they get power, they get money, they fit do anything when they like. My people, make we watch this video, make it not be like say na my mouth una for the hearer, and also make una share this video, make una drop una comment, and also follow this page so that if I drop another video, I go be the first person when go see the video. Watch the video.
Former Deputy President of the Senate, Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and a doctor, Obinna Obeta, have been found guilty of facilitating the travel of a young man to Britain with a view to exploiting him. According to the London court, the three persons criminally conspired to bring the 21-year-old Lagos street trader to London to exploit him for his kidney. Their daughter, Sonia Ekweremadu, was however found not guilty. The prosecutor, Hugh Davis, KC, told the court the Ekweremadus and Dr. Obeta had treated the man and other potential donors as disposable assets. It's the first verdict of its kind under the UK Modern Slavery Act. Let's now go over to London, where our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, who's been following this case, will be bringing us an update. Hello, Juliana.
Hi,
hello, Juliana.
Hi, Bukola, from the Old Bailey in London, where, as you just pointed out, we had a mammoth update from what I can only describe as an absolutely chaotic trial involving the former Deputy Senate President IKE Ekweremadu and three other defendants. Three of them have been convicted by the 12 men and women that make up the jury. They were all found guilty, as you said, of the first case of its kind in the United Kingdom, this modern slavery act. Let's just cast our minds back, shall we? Because it has been a case that has stirred two nations, Nigeria and the United Kingdom. And I can tell you, we've just missed the pack of press that were here. All major British establishments have been following this pretty convoluted case during the trial. So many individuals, so many names were presented to the jury, many of whom British citizens that were in Nigeria and couldn't be traced. But this is all about Sonia Ekweremadu, the 25-year-old daughter of the senator who has a debilitating kidney disease. She was found not guilty today. And in fact, when the jury were reading out the verdict, she wept profusely when she found out that she could walk freely from court. Not her daughter, not her mother, though, Beatrice Ekweremadu, the 56-year-old accountant. She has been found guilty of being part of this organ harvesting plot. That was in the public domain summer last year when we found out that the Ekweremadus were arrested en route back from Turkey to Heathrow Airport. We were then told that a young individual who still cannot be named for legal reasons was plucked from the streets of Lagos by who we know was Obinna Obeta. Obinna Obeta has been found guilty today. He was based in the United Kingdom working under the books. I think it was reported earlier that he was a general practitioner, but now, of course, that the verdict has come in, I can give you more details about the case. This Obinna Obeta, who was a significant middleman in facilitating the travel and the exploitation. And unfortunately for the Ekweremadus, we can say exploitation because they have been found guilty of these crimes under the laws of England and Wales. He was working alongside Diwe Ekweremadu, who is still very much wanted by British police. He is in Nigeria. He is a brother of the senator, an old classmate of Obinna Obeta, this 50-year-old gentleman who was working in the United Kingdom illegally, had a kidney transplant of his own. And the kidney transplant that Obinna Obeta had was donated by a friend of this alleged victim, who we cannot name. And in fact, we no longer calling him an alleged victim. He is a victim of exploitation. And KC Hugh Davis was successfully able to convince the jurors that the senator knew exactly all along what he was doing, that he used his power, he used his might, and he used his wealth of contacts to exploit this individual, using him as a commodity. So what they've been accused of and convicted of is criminally conspiring to bring this individual to London. He was taken from where he was working as a market trader to Abuja for tests. This victim claims he was never ever told that he was going to be donating his kidney. He was offered an opportunity to restart his life in London by Obinna Obeta, who lured him into the British capital, offering an opportunity for work. It was whilst he was here and he was brought into this country by the Ekweremadu. It was whilst he was here that he said he was basically treated like a slave. He was taken into the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead, where doctors were suspicious. In fact, Bukola, the case is so convoluted and complex, and it involves so many people, including an interpreter who was paid, I believe, £1,500 by the Ekweremadus to try and convince or persuade doctors that this young man knew exactly what he was doing. Of course, alarm bells were raised very, very quickly, even though lies were told to try and convince doctors that this individual was a distant cousin of Sonia Ekweremadu. They didn't believe that was to be the case. When this individual told Dr. Obinna Obeta that his donation wasn't to be successful, he said he was then treated very much like a slave. He had to run away. He spent 3 days homeless, roaming the streets of London until he handed himself into Staines police station in Surrey in South London. This is still very much a developing story. Although we have been covering the case over the past 7 weeks, we've been in court throughout the trial. Unfortunately, we were not in court today. It was only Monday that the judge was giving his directives to the jurors. The jurors retired on Tuesday. It took them less than 14 hours to make this conviction, and so it's unraveling as we speak. And I believe sentencing is not going to take place until May.
Indeed, I was going to ask about sentencing, but now that you've clarified that, Juliana, I'd also like you to clarify this significant detail from the story. It has it that the Ekweremadus and Dr. Obeta had treated the man, the unnamed, the individual that we cannot name, and other potential donors as disposable assets. Does this mean that there were other potential donors that were tested as well?
That's absolutely right, Bukola. We can provide you that information now that they have been found guilty. One of the reasons why the Metropolitan Police decided to take pretty much a huge arsenal onto the plane when they made the arrest is that they were privy to text messages. In fact, we had over 2 years of text messages and WhatsApp information read out as part of evidence in court. When they realized that this 21-year-old individual wasn't going to be a suitable match for Sonia, they shifted their attention away from London to Turkey, where they were advised by Diwe Ekweremadu, the brother of the senator, that it was going to be much easier and it was going to be much cheaper. So I do believe that one of the reasons why they were in Turkey just before their arrest was to get a donor. That is the allegations. And now that they have been found guilty, that is exactly what they have been convicted for.
And just before I let you go, Juliana, I wonder if you have been able to glean anything from what transpired in court today. I know that you have said that Sonia wept. What's her health condition, by the way? And how are the Ekweremadus, that's Mr. and Mrs. Ekweremadu, taking this verdict from the judge?
Well, of course, it has been incredibly emotional. In fact, it's been a 7-week trial, and Channels Television were the only African station to remain with this story. It's pretty complex and chaotic. The public gallery was jam-packed every single day. We were obviously seeing the 2 adult sons of the Ekweremadus, as well as a daughter that they also have, a very, very quiet family in London. But all of this information about their livelihood and their significant wealth was put to the court, and it was all in display. I know that Sonia wept profusely. In fact, one of the reasons why this case dragged on for so long, which was made clear by the judge at the start, was because she is still undergoing dialysis in a hospital. This disease is debilitating, and in fact, during evidence that was delivered in court, doctors were saying that they didn't even know if the kidney would save her. During the testimonials, we also saw Beatrice Ekweremadu, the mother of Sonia. There were outbursts, there were tears throughout. Her testimony was that she was doing her best to save her daughter. I think it's really important to note as well, there are a lot of questions for the Crown Prosecution Service. As we have said from the start, this is the first conviction of its type in this country of modern slavery. And, the procedure wasn't taken out. We know that this 21-year-old individual lied continuously to police on several different occasions. Again, let's cast our mind back to when this story first came into the public domain. What we were all reading is that this individual was a 15-year-old homeless male who had been plucked off the streets of Lagos. We know that's not true. He told police he was 15 years old. He also told police that he had no family. And he was being treated like a slave. But the evidence does suggest that, he was very, very close to the family members, the young children of Dr. Obinna Obeta. He seemed to have struck a pretty friendly relationship with Sonia Ekweremadu. And there were so many pieces of his information that just did not fit together. In fact, there are also allegations that even during his 3-day testimony, albeit via virtual link, that the interpreter who was with him wasn't interpreting the Igbo and the English correctly. So there are so many questions regarding this case. I'm sure certainly that the senator will be filing an appeal. In fact, we may be hearing about that later. I've been speaking consistently to his lawyers, not only the hired lawyers that were in court, but also in the public gallery. Every day there are about 5 or 6 of his own personal lawyers there, taking notes, making sure that all of the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. Lots of questions as well about why the senator wasn't given some sort of diplomatic immunity. I think there are questions, and I suspect that we are going to have to hear from the federal government, whether it be President-elect or the President, about this case and the questions that the British Crown Prosecution Service must answer. But as it stands now, just a couple of hours ago, Beatrice Ekweremadu was at home with her sick daughter. That is not the case now. The 56-year-old has been found guilty. She was handcuffed and she was taken down to the cell. So it's a major development in this story. And of course, how long is the sentencing going to be? This is the first of its kind. We don't know. The senator's already been in custody for about 9 months. Is this going to be a lengthy sentence to 10 to 12 to 15 years? We are just not certain of that. Of course, it's possible that he could get a suspended sentence too, which would mean he wouldn't be in custody. But one of the reasons why I think the prosecution said that he shouldn't be given bail is because he is a significant flight risk.
Indeed, Juliana, convoluted indeed, and all fingers will be crossed till all those questions are answered and until May, when you say sentencing will be. Our London correspondent, Juliana Olainka, reporting from the Old Bailey.